Okay. Hello, 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 beautiful, amazing souls. I am so truly grateful to be joined today by the beautiful Camila. And today we are going to be discussing people pleasing and imposter syndrome. And Cami's going to be sharing a little bit with you guys about some programs that they've been putting together to help empower and encourage you in this journey. So hello, hello, and we can start today with a bit of gratitude and a short meditation. So if you are joining us live, please feel free to share your gratitude in the chat. And if you're on the replay, you can share your gratitude as well. So today, I am so grateful to be here with my beautiful soul sister, Cami, who I love and cherish so truly, and all of the amazing healing that I know we have shared along our journey, unspoken, most of it, but still one another beside each other. And it's just been a really beautiful journey to be able to have this lovely support and be here in this space with you today. So that's my huge gratitude for today.
Yay! Well, I'm very grateful to be here, that we're finally doing this. It's been a while, so it really means a lot to me to be here with you, sharing space and sharing our thoughts. Just grateful to see your both of us, like, our growth, because it's been crazy how much like we've changed in just a year and a half or so. You know, it's been like insane to see how far like we've worked through ourselves pretty much. And I'm just grateful for this space and to be here with you. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you, beautiful Cami. And yeah, if anyone, also, I will just preface this before we get started. If you would like to connect with Cami for any of the beautiful services that she shares with you all today, please do click the link down below the video and connect with them on their profile so you can be able to get involved with some of the amazing things. Cami is a very talented human and soul and has lots of great things to share. So you'll definitely want to connect with her, and we'll share a bit about it today as well. So, and I see Jennifer has shared in the chat that Jennifer is grateful for this space and learning opportunity. Jennifer, we're dearly grateful for you as well.
Yay. I'm not seeing the YouTube, so I'm not seeing the comments, but yeah, I'm open to receiving all the
Silo sends their love as well, and I'm sure Shannon's right along with them. So we send everyone our love and huge gratitude for today. And yeah, I guess before we get started in this amazing chat for today, I would love to get us started with a short little guided meditation just to ground our energy and get us centered. So if you would like to join in that, please feel free to grab any crystals, close your eyes, just allow yourself to find a comfortable position. And we will begin today by taking a nice gentle breath in. Release. Let's do one more breath in. Release. And one more breath in. And on the exhale, I invite you to drop your shoulders, releasing the tongue from the roof of your mouth, and allowing yourself to imagine a beautiful lotus flower opening on the crown of your head. And as you continue to breathe, your breath moving from the inhales to the exhales, flowing like the waves of the ocean. And as you breathe in, we'll imagine a beautiful silver light pouring down into the crown center. And imagining this beautiful light moving through the third eye, down the throat, through the heart, moving the silver energy through the pulmonary at the shoulders, down through the solar plexus, the sacral chakra, and ending at the root center at the base of the spine. And I invite you to allow your breath to continue moving this energy down through the base of your spine, through your legs and your feet, dropping the pelvic floor into the earth and allowing these energies to move like roots to the ground. And allowing these roots to grow deep down all the way to the core of the earth, and imagining the center of the core being a beautiful, fiery energy filled with love and patience and understanding, generosity, acceptance. We'll breathe these energies back to our heart centers with one final breath in. And release, allowing this peaceful love to flow over your body, welcoming the acceptance of Gaia into your space. And I invite you for one final moment to imagine this beautiful love that exists all around you now, expanding through your building, through the city, allowing this unconditional love to touch everyone that exists on the planet and beyond if you so choose. We can begin to bring our awareness back into our space with our bodies with one final breath in. Release. Wiggling our fingers, our toes, our knees, and our nose. Opening your eyes whenever you're ready.
Thank you.
Thank you, beautiful Cami. I appreciate you being here with me today, and I'm really looking forward to this. So we'd like to share, I would love to share a little bit about our personal journeys. As we've both shared, I know we've had quite the journey to share about our own experiences with being, in the habit of people pleasing and how that can be incorporated into imposter syndrome, and as well as any tips or tricks we have for helping to overcoming those energies and continuing to move on our path to be the inspirational divine beings that we do in our days. So would you like to get us started, Cami, or would you like me to share first? I'm happy either way.
I think you should go first.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll start off with my journey with people pleasing because that's really where it starts for me. I really have a long history of being a genuine people pleaser, and it comes from just the most loving place in my heart. And on my journey of understanding that whenever I choose to show up for others in a way of doing actions or agreeing to things that are in the better interest of the person that I'm agreeing to, rather than knowing my own limits or understanding maybe when I should say no. And learning that has been so empowering for me. And the best example that I can give you guys is really with myself. And it starts growing up, going through school. I had a lot of mental health concerns, and my mother was always so guiding, and she did a lot of things to helped me be successful in life. And a lot of it was stuff that, you know, maybe in my own way I could have learned, but I didn't. And so whenever I got out into the world on my own and realized that there were skills that I needed to be able to continue to be successful, you know, I would initially go to my mom and say, hey, you know, what are the things that you did for me to be successful? And so, you know, it was a process of learning with her how her teaching me to be able to step up and do those things for myself was truly empowering. So I guess it was more of a her learning the people pleasing and me learning how to be able to show up for myself, and also learning that in choosing those actions to choose to say, I guess I'm going to show up in a way that I need to for myself. So um, I don't know, I guess it could be very simple as saying, like, yeah, if somebody invites me to go hang out and do something, and maybe I'm not comfortable going there, being able to say no and say that, you know, I really need to stay home and take care of myself, and seeing how in my own spaces, whenever I would make those decisions, that it would not only serve myself because now I've made the decision that is truly what's best for me, but I've also helped encourage the people that invited me to that thing. They're now going to have a great time because everyone that's there is in the space to be there. So that's a little bit of my journey with people pleasing. And I have a lot more to say about imposter syndrome and breaking that, but I think we'll start off with the people, you know, that being able to work through understanding that really the most important thing that I have learned in that journey is that when I continue to show up from a place of, I want to do the best I can to help support others, but I'm going to do that by supporting myself first, that it has shown me time again that I end up showing up better for those around me.
I absolutely agree. Yes. Well, that's so beautiful that your mom, you know, helped you on this journey. That's amazing to have somebody to show you like the ropes of that part. Um, I think I had to learn that on my own.
Yeah.
So do you want me to share a little bit?
Yeah, go for it. If you want to share any, maybe if you want to share any experiences that you have had with your journey on being able to work through interactions that you've had with kind of being able to show up for yourself, being able to fill your cup first, we'll put it that way.
Yes. Well, I pretty much, yeah, I grew up a people pleaser, like starting to work through it since last year, pretty much, because I mean, my whole life I've been a people pleaser. And just recently, I started to, like you say, it was just draining me. It was draining me truly, because I was showing up without really being wanting to be there. And out of like this crazy ingrained programming that I have to sacrifice myself for others. It comes a lot from culture, religion, a lot of things that pretty much tell you that the more you sacrifice yourself for others, the more you're worth and the more like you're going to be valued and accepted. And so I just pretty much worked through like my whole life. I just was programmed to do that. And just to find out that you don't have to do that. You don't have to like show up when you don't really want to, because you're actually not giving your 100%. You're not there as you should be, neither for yourself or for other people. And so I actually started creating illnesses and things to keep my, like, to have excuses to not show up because I didn't want to. But I was also like just hurting myself so badly because you know, what you put your focus on, you create. And so I really created these diseases and anxiety and all these like crazy things that just kind of became my life. And then I just didn't show up at all. And so it was like I kind of went from one side to completely the other one, and in not a healthy way. And so up to last year, I really started to understand that, hey, for one, you don't need to please anybody but yourself, because by doing so, you're like the filling the own cup. And that I talk about that a lot, because really, like, you fill your own cup, it starts to overflow, and that just, it naturally goes to everybody around you. And so the more I started to like put boundaries in place so that I could work on myself, not from a selfish point of view, but more from like really wanting to heal myself, so that I could show up really like in my best energy for the world, that just pretty much changed everything. So that's kind of like my experience with.
I love that, Cami. And I think that's one of the most prevalent things that I have noticed with people that tend to fall under that people pleaser category, is that we don't tend to make the change until we notice a significant decrease in our own health, whether it be mental, spiritual, or physical. And I'd love to talk about that, but did want to address, Jennifer mentioned in the comments, how would you explain people pleasing to someone that doesn't understand the term? So I'll share a little bit, and then if you want to share some of yours, you can as well. But I think the biggest thing to keep in mind for the term people pleasing is really someone who falls under a state of mind or action of showing up or agreeing to do things for others based off of the desire to make the other person happy, or doing it even though it may be a detriment to yourself. And also, there's like kind of a side note within that people pleaser is that, like Cami mentioned, that you're making those decisions to help and to please and to address the happiness of others because it is a conditioned response. You have learned over time that, you know, in order to get the love that you desire, you have to show up to this thing, or in order to maintain that friendship that you know, must be XYZ. And so it really comes from like generally people that have very kind hearts and want to be good to others, as well as situations in life where things are beyond our control and we feel as though doing certain actions or saying certain things will help control those outcomes to be more along what we desire.
That's beautifully put.
Thank you.
I think that's exactly it. I was just thinking of an example in like my own life to explain people pleasing, and that would be, I used to party a lot, like a lot. And there came a point where I was just not happy about it, like at all. I didn't want to drink. I didn't want to be late at night, up at night. I just didn't want to. I wanted to stay home. I would much rather be like reading a book or having a conversation over tea, like being in a place where you could talk. Like I started to like really dislike partying, but I kept doing it for years because the group of people that I was with, and not that it's their fault at all, like, but the only way that I could see my friends back then was in that kind of, you know, environment. So I kept doing it. My body wasn't happy. Like I was getting the worst hangovers. Like seriously, my body was like, dude, you're over this. Why are you doing this to yourself? And the truth is like, I was just so desperate to for companionship and for that, like, you know, that friendship, that I just kept doing things that I didn't like just to stay in that group. So that's like a very clear example of people pleasing. And I feel it also has a lot to do with your ego, because when you're accepted like in society, and you're praised by doing certain things, like you just keep on doing them, because
Yeah.
it's just feeding that necessity to, you know, for the ego to get inflated, you know. And and I'm just realizing these things, but truly, like, it was just a huge thing to actually say, hey, if you want to see me, we're gonna have to see each other like in my house. Let's just have some cookies and some tea, you know. um, and I mean, I did lose a lot of friends because I stopped going out and all that stuff, but like, I did feel lonely at first and all those things, but it was so much better for me. Like, I went through the grief of like just losing certain people in my life. And then it was just such a burden that I took off my shoulders, because like my health was improving, I was showing up better, um, I was getting more creative. You know, I was just like coming back to my space, and like my genuine, like what I really wanted to do, my heart's desires, like not fulfilling somebody else's expectations of me. And because also like people starts to know you a certain way, and they're like, oh yeah, she parties like crazy, and she's like this, and she likes this music, and blah blah blah. And it's so funny because when I moved to the US, I went back to Colombia after a few years, and I met with a group of these people, and we went to a bar or something, and they were playing a certain type of music that I used to like a lot, that I just don't anymore. And they were telling my husband like, hey, no, she loves this, like she loves this, and blah blah. And I was like, oh my god, get me out of here. Like, I can't, like, I don't want to be here. And I told them like, yeah, no, I'm done. Like, I seriously, I don't like this anymore. So yeah, that's kind of like one big example of that.
That's beautiful. And it brings up a really amazing point that really it's a journey, it's a process. Like accepting and understanding that this is a part of you is the first step to being able to grow and make healthier choices for yourself. So if you are someone that connects with and relates to the term people pleaser, or even just feels like maybe you do make decisions or take actions that maybe aren't in your highest interest to be at the benefit of others, I just really encourage you to understand that it really is a journey and to be patient with yourself. And like, even though I'll tell you my journey with kind of breaking the habit started about 3 years ago with my divorce. My people pleasing went way too far in my marriage, and it ended up encouraging a lot of really negative habits. And anyway, so we're about 3 years in, and I still consistently have to check in with myself and be like, okay, are we making this decision out of, healthy boundaries for ourselves, or is this, are we thinking if we do this thing, it's gonna encourage that person to love us more or want to spend time with us more? And so I think the other half that goes with it is seeing too that it's okay to be sad, to release those parts of you. Like you said, you had to release friends, you had to release, music and identities that you related with. But how much healthier and happier are you now that you've made those decisions and allowed yourself to be honest with your true nature and what you desire? And I'm sure the people around you are happier and healthier as well. So
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so important, that thing you say about like just having patience and having, oh, here we go, the compassion to yourself. I also repeat this a lot, but it's just like, it's just so important. Like, it's the most important part, being gentle with yourself, because when we realize that we've done these things, oh my God, like we're just so hard on ourselves. Like, how did I let this happen? And why did I go so far? And like, it's just, you have to be really, really gentle and understand that you don't have all the answers all the time. And like you say, it's a journey, it's a process. And if we did these things, it's because we really didn't know better. Like, we always, and in my experience, and I feel like the people around me and everyone I talk to, we really always come like from the best of the intentions and from the best place that we know at the moment. So there, I mean, there's no point in like punishing ourselves for something that we did because it was just the best that we could do. That's just it. So once you allow yourself that grace and that knowing that you did the best you could, and that that brought you to this point that you're realizing all these things, it's like, okay, well, this is growth, this is expansion, and I had to go through it. It doesn't mean it gets easier.
Mhm.
And you still like go through all the the pain and all the things, but you do it in a gentler way. Like, you don't drown and soak in it. And at least I used to do that a lot. Like, I would indulge in this drama, um and also because I was trying to get attention. um but that, yeah, that I guess that's a different thing. But yes, like, you, like, once you give yourself the grace and that softness, it just changes the way you grieve, the way you detach from certain things. It looks very different now. And it's just because of that, because you're giving yourself the love, you're giving yourself the space, you're not people pleasing, you're allowing it to happen, and you're letting the people around you know, hey, I'm going through this process and I'm going to need my time, you know.
It's that communication, communicating your boundaries, communicating your newly reinstated boundaries, and understanding that you do not owe an explanation to anybody for your newly
Absolutely.
reinstated boundaries.
Yes.
But yeah, and I think if there's anyone that's in the chat or watching us on the replay that's really working towards being able to kind of break out of that and set those healthy boundaries, what advice can we share for being able to fill our cup? This is a term that is used consistently in my spaces, and I love the term, but let's help share a little bit about what filling our cup means with those that are listening.
Well, filling my own cup, my personal experience. So to me is doing the things that give you passion and love, like just the things that light your heart on fire. That is filling your cup. So for me, it's like waking up, making my coffee, drinking my water, getting into some movement, dancing, singing, even though like my throat right now is a little, uh, but I'm singing, I'm not caring, just doing those things that you love to do. And then that just fills you up with energy and your heart space. And it just shows, like, it shows. You look happy, you look healthier. It's that to me is filling my own cup.
Absolutely. So, in an essence, really filling your cup is part of the process of learning how to break that people pleasing, right? Because now instead of trying to fill someone else's cup and following someone else's passions, like in the example you gave, you're following your friends and their desire to party. Well, now you're choosing to say, you know what, I think I would actually rather have a cup of tea and a dance. And maybe your friend circle now looks different, but the people that you end up with sharing your passions as the same as you do. And so it's like, yes, in one aspect, you are losing a part of you, but you're opening yourself up to be in alignment with those that share your passions. And I think this is a great way to transition into imposter syndrome, because now here we go, because now you're following your passions. And you're like, oh, wait, what actually does fill my cup? And then you realize, okay, well, now I'm following my passions. I'm going to grow in this certain area. And then you become, to a place where maybe now you're excelling in something that in the past you used to totally deny yourself of. And now here we go. So we'll step out. And I'll share a bit of my journey for imposter syndrome. And for those that also may not know exactly, imposter syndrome is something that you can face in any aspect of your life. It does not have to be business related. You can face imposter syndrome going into multiple different areas, whether it's a new job, a new friend circle, learning a new skill or a new talent. But it's really the effect of not feeling confident and capable to be able to share the wisdom and knowledge that you have gained and the skills that you have gained. And also specifically in the sense that I relate to it with is being able to stand confidently in my business sense. So for me, I am certified Reiki master, and I have had amazing clients. I love being able to practice Reiki. It's one of my dear soul passions. And whenever I first started,
you're so amazing at it. Sorry, I have to say
thank you. Dear Cami. It's super dear to my soul, and I love it. But it was something that was really huge for me to be able to say, okay, here's something that I've been working on in quiet and growing my skills and figuring out how to share. And then I step out into the world and I'm like, okay, here's Kristen Blair, who used to have this particular face. And now I'm stepping into this phase of me, and really being able to not feel like an imposter when doing so. As I'm sharing, and Cami says, yeah, your Reiki's great. And I'm like, thank you so much. It's been a really long time for me to be able to share it and be able to get to a place. So I'm grateful. And yeah, if you'd like to share some of yours, you can do so as well.
And I'm so glad you stepped out of that, because we need you. The world needs you. And I mean, the world needs all of us and all our light, and that's part of like overcoming that imposter syndrome. We were actually talking about, I want to tell you guys that I was having imposter syndrome to talk about imposter syndrome. So that can be like, because you have the experience and you have your certifications and you have your your degrees and all these things, but when it comes down to it, and in my case, it's just this fear of like giving the wrong information or not doing things correctly or screwing up or and it's like how is people gonna react to this, and are they gonna think I'm like a total I'm making things up, or I don't know. It's like, and it goes with the people pleasing, like, and with the expectations, like what is people expecting from me once again, instead of stepping on into hey, I know what I know. I should be like confident about what I know, because life gave me all these tools and life gave me all these experiences to know these things. Like it's just, it's so funny how we question ourselves and our talents and our gifts. And well, I guess that also goes in hand with the fact that we've been traumatized since childhood. Like, you can't do that. No, shh, dim yourself, like you can't be that loud. You can't do this or that or whatever, and that's a huge part also, like just breaking through all that conditioning, to believe in yourself and to believe that you're actually inherently worthy of being in front of a camera and speaking in a podcast, or in front of people, or you being a counselor, you know, it's all these things. Like, we were given the tools, and if we're being given the opportunities to do these things, it's because we can, you know, we can. So, and to me, it's been a long journey. I still struggle with it. Like I said, like right before this, I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna say? You know, like, and I've been a photographer for over 20 years. I still doubt so much of like what I do. I'm a lot more confident, of course, you know, but there's a lot of competition and all these things. So you start comparing yourself, and um, but then you go back to center and you're like, hell, I am good at it. Like, you know, I bring my own magic to it. And even though like there's so many other people doing photos and like similar things to what I do, there's no way anybody's ever going to do what I do, because I am me and they are them. And it is so important to understand that we, like, all of it is needed, all our talents. And I always come to this realization that we really do come from the same source. So we're always going to have similarities to other people, or we're always going to, there's always going to be something that looks kind of the same, or we're going on the same path, because we all come from the same thing. So our creation, our creativity comes from that same place. Of course, it's going to look alike, but each one brings its own individual magic to it, because we really do. And we really do need to believe that all of our magic is so needed. So getting past that imposter syndrome is just so, we need to do it. We need to step up and break through it. If we are being given chances and opportunities, it's time to start asking yourself why you are doubting yourself so much.
I love to, one of my favorite things to share is I love how unique and individual each and every human is on this earth. And only you can be your particular unique expression. And Cami, I will tell you, I love photography as well. It's a deep passion of mine. Love, love, love your photos. Your photography is so unique and inspired, and shares a gift of magic in this world that you just, I love your ability to capture it and really be able to share it and help people see it. And also you help others embody that magic in themselves, which is like an added bonus gift to your photography. So
Oh,
I
thank
think
you.
your all of your efforts are dear and special. And I'm just so grateful for you being able to step forward and continue sharing, and creating healing spaces is the next adventure that you're stepping into. And I love that for you. I know you've had a few retreats that you've done and worked with. And so I know your new adventures that you're stepping into are going to be just as amazing and inspired. And so I don't know if you'd like to share a little bit about some of the classes that you've put together, some of the things that you have going on.
Oh, you're so, like, I thank you so much. And I also want to say thank you, because your support, like, since the beginning, you you know, you're constantly there. And that just means the world to me. And well, just thank you. And yeah, I mean, I created a coaching program to encompass all this journey of spiritual healing and coaching with photography, because photography has helped me pretty much step out of this horrible space where I just didn't like, where I didn't like who I was, and I wasn't comfortable in my body. And because of all these things that we've been talking about, I was finding myself. And I was very lost. I just didn't see who I was, and photography was a way of me showing up to myself, being able to actually mirror myself through photos, like very raw and very, like, I tried to do it in a way where I wasn't posing so the, the muffin top wouldn't come out, or you wouldn't see my, like, I did it in a very raw perspective because I really wanted, like, the whole point of it was to see myself, like really see myself. And the fact that I was able to stand in front of the camera also gave me a lot more security or self confidence to actually come out into the public, you know, and face other people. Because it's the same, like you feel the same way when you're talking to somebody. Uh, it's that same nervous feeling when you're standing in front of a camera. It's just the same thing. So I just realized, like, if I'm not able to photograph myself and to see myself, or in a video, I'm just not gonna be able to ever, you know, do anything for anybody. Like, I'm just gonna stay in this space where I won't be able to talk or express myself, um, because I don't like my face or the way I look or the way I talk or whatever. So it really gave me tools to see myself in a very different way. And like when I, analyzing the pictures, it was freaking great. Like at the beginning, I kid you not, like I was just, I thought I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Because it was hard seeing me. It was so hard. But then the more I kept doing it, I was like, oh my God, you're so cute.
Aw.
I started to really like seeing those pictures, like, fuck, you're showing up for yourself, you're doing this for you. Like, how amazing is that? And so the way I started posing myself started to change, and I was more confident, and like then I started showing more skin. And I started like opening up more and more, and that reflected in my personal life as well. And all of that, like, by the hand of going into spiritual work. And also I became also a Reiki master, holy fire Reiki. And I did a spiritual coaching certification that opened my mind and my world and my whole perspective to angels, to other beings, to not aliens, I don't want to say that word, but ETs, and uh, just all this mind-blowing things that I knew were there, but I hadn't really connected to. And I knew I had this like channeling, I don't know, gift, or however you want to call it. And I feel like we all do. But in my family, it's been really, my dad has it, my brother has it, uh, even my mom. So, but I never really paid attention to it or into it until I started looking, like, switching the mirror towards myself and believing that I did have these talents and that I did have these abilities to do these things. So that pretty much changed everything. And so that's how I combined everything. So what I do is coach and do photo shoots, through which, like, we do oracle readings, we do guidance, and we find out what the issue is, the pain points, through these readings, through the photo shoots, and then we just dive deep into shadow, and start working on it. And then at the end, we do another photo shoot. So there's one at the beginning, one at the end. And so it's beautiful to see that progress, from the first shoot to the last one. It's so different after you've gone through the work. And it's beautiful, beautiful to see. It's just mind blowing, and it's so overwhelming, and so I feel so honored, like seriously holding this space for my clients, because seeing them light up, like their hearts, like the way their body language changes, the way they become empowered and just being themselves. Outside of that, people pleasing, overcoming that imposter syndrome, all these things, like they just become themselves. Obviously, it's not like you have it all figured out. And this program's last 3 months. I mean, there's only so much you can do in 3 months, but it's still like a ladder, because it kind of sets you on a path where you really want to do more for yourself, and you want to do more for others, and you want to show up, and you want to be self-confident, and you want to have that self-love, because it's like addictive, really.
No, it really is.
Yeah, it's like being high all the time, and it's so beautiful to see them step into that rawness and that vulnerability and show up for themselves. So magical. So that's what the programs are about. And all of this is also very attached to gratitude, how gratitude shifts everything. So I'm doing also once a month, I'm doing an attitude of gratitude masterclass, the 15th of every month. So my first one's gonna be on the 15th, so next week on Wednesday. But yeah, I'm doing that. I also created a beautiful free PDF that you can download with a 5-day dare of self-portraits. So I give you 5 prompts for the 5 days, and through those prompts, you kind of go through this little process of becoming closer to yourself and photographing yourself. And like I said, just putting yourself in front of a camera to do anything is a huge, huge step to overcoming that fear of seeing yourself and being seen by anybody, and just accepting yourself as you are. So yeah, I think those are all the programs. I'm creating retreats. Like you said, I did my first retreat in August, and in Crestone in Colorado. It was absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Everything went wrong.
As it will.
Like seriously, from day one, like things started like, and the whole point of that specific retreat was to let go of control and step into flow. And that's exactly what the universe threw at us. Like, okay, you want to step into the flow, you want acceptance, you want to surrender, okay, here you go. Like, we were supposed to do yoga outdoors. Mosquitoes were like, I've never seen anything like it. Like, we were swarmed like in less than a second. Like, you couldn't even open the door of your car because it would like be infestated. So we couldn't do the yoga outside. We had to like redo this whole, like, anything and everything. Like, the restaurants were closed, so all the meals that we were doing out, like, so many things. But it was so perfect. It was exactly what we needed. And it was beautiful because it came together. Like, we made it work. We just surrendered, and we let go of control, and we just let things unfold as they needed to unfold. And each one did so much work, so much work. Some of them relocated to different states. Some of them like just stepping, like, they really, I feel like it really empowered them to do things that they were freaking out about. And it was just beautiful, beautiful to see them like step into their power. And the photo shoots were spectacular. Um, it was just such a magical time. And I was like, okay, after this first one, like I need to keep doing this. This is something that I was born to do. And so I created two for next year. One's going to be in Florida. The other one's going to be in Mexico. One's in April, the other one in October. And I have invited guests. I have a yoga teacher called Rukmani Kaur. She does Kundalini yoga and other things, a cacao ceremony. Lauren's gonna be there. She's gonna do meditations. Lauren Bruno. My friend Fiona Robinson, she's an herbalist and she specializes in nutrition. And so all the meals are gonna, like the menus, everything's gonna be prepared by her. There's gonna be photography, readings, like all these things. The retreats are pretty much meant to allow for women to step into their flow, their natural flow, and release womb pain and all the karma that we hold in as women, deprogramming, all the things we're talking about pretty much. So I'm just really excited. I can't wait. Like, I really can't wait. I am really, really, really pumped about this. And also sharing the experience with others. Because the first time I did the retreat, it was just me. And it was a little different. So this time it's going to be a very different experience. Sharing the space with other teachers and other guides. And I can't wait.
I'm so excited for you, Cami. It's going to be so amazing. And I know your photo shoots are great. So I'm excited to see how those continue to show. And I wanted to ask too, for anyone that's looking to connect with you for these sessions, master classes, your programs, or your retreats. I know that a lot of this stuff will be booked out, and you can absolutely connect with Cami on her socials, which will be listed down below the video as well. So please feel free to connect with her on those. But anyone that's also interested in working with you remotely, that is also an option as well, correct?
Yes. We do most of the coaching, all of, like, if you're not in Fort Collins, we do everything on Zoom. And the photo shoots, because of COVID, I developed this really cool way of photographing people through the computer. So I do virtual photo shoots. The difference there is, for the in-person shoots, I give you styling, makeup, and other things. So with the virtual, obviously, is a little different because each client has to get their own makeup artist and stuff, but I do help them get everything together and put everything together for this. So, and I do have a lot of like people in other states that I can recommend. So that's definitely an option. Yes.
Awesome. And I have seen Cami's virtual photo shoots, and they are magic. They are just as magical as the in-person ones. I don't know how she does it. She has a true gift. Tell me you can take a professional photo through Zoom, and I would have maybe rolled my eyes a little, but Cami, I believe in you because it works. I've seen it. They're gorgeous. You truly do.
No, thank you. They're so fun. It just truly pushed me to test my creativity. Like, a lot of people were doing it on FaceTime back then, a lot of photographers, but I just wanted to use my camera. So I just started photographing the computer, and they kind of look very vintage.
They do.
They have this texture to it. Yeah, it's really fun.
They're amazing. Well, and I think it's funny too, synchronicity. I'll share with you about my own year and my own experience with breakthroughs and retreats. I had my first retreat this year as well. I worked with the Ascended team, and we went to Sedona, and again, same fashion, everything that could have went wrong did go wrong. And we learned all of the lessons that we could have possibly learned. And I think we're still continuing to learn a lot of lessons. And I think that's one of the most beautiful parts, is that whenever you go to a spiritual transformational retreat, you typically go home and things continue to change. I feel like if that happens, goal achieved, right? We did the thing we were supposed to do.
Exactly.
So but yeah, it's been beautiful, and creating retreats are no easy task. And I love Lauren, Bruno, and all of the other amazing people you mentioned. So I'm sure those retreats are going to be gorgeous and very healing. And the only other thing that you mentioned is body positivity there, being able to connect with your body. And I think that's the only thing we haven't really touched on tonight as far as like people pleasing, imposter syndrome, is really being able to be connected with your body. Because and this is something that I think it's almost like the most important part, because right, you can do the healing and gain the tools and imply the knowledge and then be able to say, okay, now I can show up and I'm doing these things. But really being able to express it and vocalize it, like Cami, as I was sitting here listening to you share about your programs and everything you have to do, I could hear the healing work that you have done come through. I know in my journey, I worked with Michelle Coutinho, and I'll link her down below, but she's a vocal empowerment coach. And I can tell you all, I would not be sitting here right now speaking on this podcast if it wasn't for the healing I've done with her. And, I
Ditto,
think,
ditto.
yeah, I could hear it coming through. I was like, yes,
Yes.
Michelle's magic.
Yeah, let's give her all the praise. 'Cause seriously, Michelle, we love you.
But being able to vocalize it and show up and say, like, yes, you can break through, you can do these things, but you also deserve to show up for yourself and share it with the world. You've put all this effort and energy together to help create this beautiful thing, whatever it may be in your own respect. And you deserve it to yourself to be able to move through that next step, which is expressing and sharing and connecting with your body. And I know that that can be, again, like another part of the healing journey. And so I'll just say it again, that if you're someone that's working through these processes and trying to become more empowered and speaking your truth and being connected and filling your own cup, patience with yourself is absolutely necessary, and connecting to others that can help you, knowing that you do not have to walk this journey alone. It is your journey to walk. You can walk alone as long as you so choose, but knowing that you have family, friends, and spiritual teachers all around you that would love to be able to help assist you be able to be empowered and embodied in exactly where it is that you desire to go moving forward, and not to be afraid to reach out, and knowing that it's also okay to reach out and then say, you know what, maybe that's not the direction I'm going to go in, but I'm glad that I at least reached out and saw a new opportunity. And so, yeah, if you want to share any bit about being able to be connected with your body, and I know it's had a great impact for you on your journey as well.
Oh, huge, huge. So yeah, and I totally agree with everything you said. But going back to that body part, yes, I've had bulimia, anorexia. That was, I guess, until a few years ago, actually. And I don't think I've ever said this like publicly, ever, ever. I think the first time I've said it publicly was, I think, last week on a post, or this week. But it was a huge part of my teenage years, my 20s, my 30s. Now I'm in my 40s and starting to, make progress with it. So people pleasing and the body dysmorphia has like a lot to do, with each other, because we think we're only gonna be accepted if we look a certain way. And that's like a huge thing in our society. Like we're bombarded day and night with ads, things, all like, and I know that 99% pretty much go through this. It was a crazy thing to realize that when I started photographing myself and seeing my body so different than, because I had always been like a little, I did gymnastics my whole life until I was 20. So I always was like chunky, like thick, and but my butt kind of wobbles, and like I was never like tight and you know, I was always wobbly no matter how much training or exercise, or I was always wobbly, and I was always thick, and my trainers really shamed me for it. "Ah, you gotta like tighten that butt," and I'm like, I am. And I can't tighten it more. Like I can't really. Ooh, like I'm, I'm clenching here. Yeah, and it really messed up my brain and the way I saw myself. And I kept seeing all my, my gymnastics, how do you say that? Like not partners, like the team people, the girls, and they were all like beautiful and skinny and tall, and I was like short and like big, and so I never saw me in this like very specific type of body, like the hourglass shaped body, and my ribs are a little like out there, and like, but every single body is different, and I didn't get this until I don't know 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So definitely the part with anorexia and bulimia was just a constant thing, because if I started to gain weight, or if I ate things that I knew I were gonna make me fat, it was like punishing myself, like constantly. Like you're not worthy. You're not worthy. This body is not worthy. And so the punishment through food, through like unhealthy habits, um, I don't know, like not doing exercise, so many things that I was just putting my body through so much pain and so much sacrifice actually. And once I started doing the pictures and doing more and more and more, I got more used to seeing my body, not like this idea of the body I had in my brain, but the actual body that I have, you know? And I started to see the magic in it, and I was like, oh my God, this body does gymnastics, this body dances, this body has crazy awesome hair, this body, like all these things. And I was like, oh my God, this body is miraculous. Like this body has been through so much, and I've put it through so much. And here it is, showing up, holding me, taking me everywhere, doing all the things, standing tall. And no matter how much I've abused it, it's still there for me. And that is something that I just can't not take for granted anymore. So when I realized all these things, I started to really nurture and listen to it. How, like, that sounds really, and my clients ask me, like, but what do you mean, like, listen to it? Like, what does that mean? It's like, you're thirsty, go drink water.
Yeah.
If you need rest, go take a nap. If you are feeling a certain pain, talk to it. Like legit, literally talk to it. Um, our words are powerful, and this is an example that I give a lot. When you talk to plants, if you have one plant, two plants, and one plant you constantly tell it horrible things, and the other plant you're constantly reassuring and giving love and compassion, this plant dies. Like, no, there's no, it just doesn't make it. It just starts to, um, how do you say that, wilt
Yes.
and die, because no matter if you're feeding them the same water, no matter if you're giving them the same light, that the way that you're speaking to yourself is like that plant. And you're programming your cells and every part of your body to believe and to create that reality. So shifting that, and like the photography was kind of like mirror work for me, pretty much. Um, just allowing myself to see myself really as I was and telling me, hey, you're beautiful. You're amazing. Look at all these things your body is doing. You're breathing. Your lungs are working. Your stomach is doing all these things. Your eyes are amazing. Like you can see things. You see colors. You can taste stuff. We have senses. So many things that we take for granted. And I just started like really, like Michelle says, like our bodies are temple, and I started seeing my body as the temple that it really is, and really like bowing down to it. Obviously, it's not like I'm perfect.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process, and I can tell you, there's days where if I eat certain things up, like my first reaction is I want to go throw up,
Yes.
and it's hard. It's not easy. It is a process, and sometimes there's days when I put on certain clothes and I'm like, oh my God, you look so fat. And, we do this, but having the awareness and just the mere fact that you have done all this work and have seen yourself from a different perspective helps so much to bring you back to that love, to that compassion, to that self, um, how do you say it? Like self-acceptance. It's just so important, and doing this for you, and not because anybody else is going to tell you, oh, you're so pretty. It's your approval, your own approval, first and foremost, because if you don't have that, like that's what you're going to reflect. So nobody's going to approve you the way you are. And that's just like, because we mirror and we we reflect what we are feeling on our inside. And if that's the way, like if you don't feel good about yourself, that's what everybody's going to perceive.
I always like to think about it like a prism, like as if you are a prism and the light goes through you, and you can see this is like the light going through you is like the inspiration you see in another person going through you to then create this light that comes out of you. But the light that comes out of the prism is now a rainbow, and it looks nothing like the actual light that entered it in the first place.
Yes.
And I love it because it just shows that it's just another example of how amazingly unique and different we all are. And I wanted to read to Ren wrote in the comments. She said, so true, I'm skinny, and so people are automatically like, oh my gosh, you're so lucky, yet the struggles went through with my health almost killed me several times. And Cami said same on, and I very, very similar. My experience was with body dysmorphia and just not seeing myself clearly. It's like seeing yourself as a different view than what you physically appear at. And I think that the most important thing that you can remember is, and it goes along the lines with how you show up in the world, that you are unique. You are so special. Yes, we are similar to others. We are all connected, and we are divine reflections of the people in our spaces, but nobody on this earth can be you except for yourself. And so loving that you are going to look different, and that makes you unique, that makes you different from the person standing next to you. And I think especially when it comes to imposter syndrome, like we were speaking earlier about our showing up in our work. And I know for me, when it came to being a Reiki practitioner, there was a lot of self-judgment because the way that I wanted to do things looked so much different than how I had been taught or how other people had done it. And so I held myself back from doing things in the beginning because I didn't want to be different. I didn't want to show up in a different way. I wanted to be like everyone else. That was the comfortable place. And then I started to allow myself to show up in a different way. I started practicing and playing and saying, okay, this is how I feel called to do this. Let's see how it goes. And then the moment that it connected with someone else in a way that was unique and different and special was the moment it changed my life forever. And I realized, oh, this is why, because I'm the one that's meant to do it this particular way. And so I think it goes hand in hand with your body. Like, I don't know, we could go on and on about our bodies, but it's so important. And like, just like final moment is dancing and how important movement is in our bodies and being able to like move the energy and learning to love yourself. I know for me, I'm a survivor of domestic violence and sexual abuse. And so being able to reconnect with my body was absolutely imperative for my healing journey. And being able to dance was something that really helped me reclaim my sexual healing journey, and being able to reconnect with that part of me came from dancing and moving my body, and also Cami taking pictures of myself and being in that. So I love that you're creating something for that, because it is so transformative to be able to see yourself, and because you did it, and for nobody other than just for you to be able to say, this is, this is me, and I'm going to love me. And even though this part of me is not perfect, it is beautiful because it is unique and special and makes me who I am. So
yes.
and I know you're my sister dancer. So
Yes, I saw, yes. And yes, I can relate to so much to all of that. I believe a lot of us have been abused in some way or another. I was also sexually abused and emotionally by my ex-husband, and um the dancing again. Yeah, I can relate to that. Dancing and singing also made me just reclaim a little bit of what I thought I lost, and just to move the energy, because you get so stagnant in there. So that movement, and it's just healthy, like healthy to keep your body in some way, shape, or form moving. So dancing for me, because I tried yoga too, but I'm a little inconsistent with the yoga, I gotta say. But the dancing is something that really connects me to my sexuality, and it really allows for me to feel what I'm feeling. That's another way that I talk to my body. Speaking of, because with the movement, it's like, oh, if I do this is hurting. Like, oh, okay, what happened there? You know, let's move that softly. And you start to listen, and so you move your body in a way that like helps it, and you're not like pushing it, you're really working with it. And that's another thing I say a lot. It just works with your body, not against it, because that's just an uphill fight all the way. So it's just better to listen to it, and to move with it. And so that dancing, and ecstatic dancing is specifically, is it was so important for me in my journey. And that's why I also make it part of what I do.
absolutely. And I like, well, just a final note for anyone that is hoping to incorporate any of these practices into their day, understanding that as you listen to your body, you'll be energized. You'll be like, yeah. Then, as Cami said, you'll get to a spot that it hurts, and you're like, okay, I gotta go slower here, and leaning into that, getting curious about the places that do hurt, and understanding that you have this momentum and it's always great to continue moving and going up and growing, but it is so important. I cannot stress enough whenever you find that moment of pain or hurt to hold
Slow
space
down.
and slow down. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, so important.
Yeah.
So we get so excited.
I know. It's like I just want to do the thing though. And then you're like,
Right.
oh.
That's where, like, that's another whole topic. But yeah, that allowing things to happen in divine timing and not
Yeah.
rushing. Because as light workers, I feel like we're like, okay, I'm ready. Who can I help? What can I do? It's like, hey, slow down. Just don't rush. Things will come. Things will come, and people will show up, and whoever needs you will show up, and you're attracting that. So just chill. Just chill.
Just chill. Well,
Take the
Cami,
space.
this has been an absolutely amazing discussion. I am so truly grateful for the wisdom you've shared, and I'm looking for personally, I'm really looking forward to your retreats and your spaces that you're sharing. And I'm going to connect with you about your challenge. I'll do it. I'll do your challenge. So
Yay!
that is my phone. So I'm going to have to say good night. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. Namaste. Oh,
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
all right. Sorry, that's my boss. Hello, this is Kristen.